Imagine this. Your 13-year-old has been begging you to join social media. You finally give in. A few harmless selfies, dance videos with friends, nothing out of the ordinary. 6 months later, you get a message threatening to release sexually explicit photos of your child unless you pay up. Except here's the nightmare. Your child never took those photos. I'm Anne Emerson, and I sat down with an Arkansas State Police investigator who's on the front lines trying to stop exactly this. A new kind of predator using AI-generated images and videos to create sexual abuse material from innocent pictures. It's happening to real families, in real communities, and it's changing how law enforcement fights back. Just this August, 33-year-old Ethan Tanner Fagan was sentenced to 90 years in prison for 30 counts of possessing child sexual abuse material, most of it created with AI. Investigators say he was taking pictures of his neighbors and their kids fully clothed, and then using artificial intelligence to strip their images and turn them into something explicit. This case is a cautionary tale for parents everywhere. Technology is moving faster than the law, and faster than most of us can comprehend. So what can be done? How do we protect our kids when their photos can be stolen and turned into something horrific with just a few clicks? That is exactly what my guest today is working to figure out. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to Criminally Obsessed so you don't miss important conversations like this one. Joining me now is Sergeant Corwin Battle. He's the commander of the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. He's the man who led the investigation into Fagan and is now helping agencies nationwide navigate this disturbing new frontier. I don't want to give these predators any clues on anything as we talk about this, but how do they do it?
As far as for the AI sample, you can go out and get any picture that you want off of the internet and send it in to certain websites. Now, most of those websites that do nudity are going to be based in other countries. So basically, they just send a picture to one of these websites. They process it and send it back to them within a matter of seconds to a few minutes.
And these websites, are they ever evolving? Like, is it one of those things like kind of like a shell game? Like you never know where this website's hiding, basically?
Well, most of them are still up to this point because, of course, some of this stuff can be used in other countries for adults, but some of them do not check for juvenile images. They just take the actual picture and send it. There's no law in Arkansas if you wanted to send a picture of yourself up to do that for your own, personal use. But whenever you use someone else, luckily the legislature put a law on the books that that's illegal now.
How are they getting a hold of these pictures?
One of the cases that we just last had and it was adjudicated, we had actual children from the community and their parents. Most of them were the mothers of the children. Uh, their pictures that were just taken off of regular social media like Facebook or Instagram, they were converted over to artificial intelligence generated nudity. So we had to identify all those different children and their parents and notify them, hey, there's pictures out here. We have to get your information because we need to send this up to the National Center so they're aware. So we're notified if those pictures are found anywhere else, in the world. A lot of people think that, all this stuff is on the actual dark web, but it's not. You can access it from any kind of search engine. Of course, there's different rules with different countries. So a lot of times we see that servers in other countries are being accessed to make the downloads, but we do actually have undercover computers across the United States, and especially here in Arkansas, that go out and look for specific files that we know that are child sex abuse material, so we can try to identify who's disseminating it, and then we run a search warrant and then make an arrest eventually.
What did those parents and those children say? What are the victims saying to you about this?
So the victims, a lot of them were confused, of course. Most of them, they knew the actual suspect in that case. They, went to school with kids that were in his home and just knew him just from the community. It's a small, tight knit community. So they were just, extremely confused because we're talking about young teenage girls, and some of them even younger than teenage years that just couldn't understand why this happened to them. And of course, the parents were just as upset because their pictures were utilized along with their children on somebody that they know and that they trusted. And some of the kids actually, visited at this man's house.
So he was grooming them for this.
He potentially could have been grooming them. I'm just glad that we were able to get to him as quick as we were because the way things were looking, it didn't look like he was on a good trajectory.
Yeah, and I feel like as someone who covered local news just in the South Carolina area for a while, that just by watching those emails coming in from the state police and that sort of thing, it was prolific.
Yes, this is pretty much an epidemic. Last year in Arkansas, we're pretty rural, so we had 6,800 cyber tips that came in for the year. This year, we're at 8,800 cyber tips, so we're 2,000 over the amount, and we still have about 2.5 months to go at this point. So we're not sure where our numbers are going to lead us to because they have grown by the year.
Well, and so we go from CSAM, which we would think of as pictures that had not been necessarily altered, and then you're into this AI generated CSAM. When did you see things moving in this direction?
So we saw it moving. Start and the technology to start to improve here within the last 2 years. But prior to that, like I said, you would get some items that would look like an actual child, and some of them were of actual identified children that we had, but you could tell that they were computer generated. The technology was not as good as it is now. You could kind of tell that basically that they were vectorized images that were generated from a computer. A lot of these now, they're extremely hard to tell the difference.
Are these predators making money on these pictures and video?
So we do know that they, of course, make money from actual kids. It usually starts off the kids, and then they try to push it over to the parents to say, hey, you need to pay, or we're going to release these pictures. But we do know that a lot of times they do send these pictures out on the actual regular platforms where people go out and seek this material, and they send it out on the dark web. I know of some cases where those pictures have popped up in other countries that were, started here. They actually know where the IP address came from, and it's a
Right.
completely different country. So,
Yeah, because they basically will say, "I've got naked pictures of you, and I'm going to show them unless you give me a certain amount of money."
yes. And most of them are young boys. We're starting to see it used on girls, though, also, but it started out that it was mostly young boys that were, in their teenage years. They were pretty popular in school and they had something to lose. So they knew to go after them because they were more likely to get money out of them than other kids that are at school that maybe not be popular. So they were pretty crafty on looking to see who's the basketball player, who's a star football player, and attacking them pretty good.
And they end up hurting themselves sometimes.
Yes, and some of them start harming themselves. And at this point in Arkansas, we don't know of any cases where we had any kind of suicides. Of course, some phones on some of those cases are still being processed because we don't know the passcode. So they're trying to be looked at to try to find out, determine if that occurred. But right now, as far as we know, we don't have any. But we do try to take a proactive approach whenever we do see anything dealing with sex extortion. We try to get those out immediately. And the National Center has been really good about flagging those and emailing us, even if it's on the
Mm.
weekend, that something's going on.
Yeah, and I feel like nationally there have been some cases like that that have been escalated into really tragic situations for families. So, well, what are you doing to stop this?
It's very hard to be able to stop this right now. Like I said, we've increased 2,000 cyber tips over last year, and we only have just a certain amount of investigators. Of course, we're rural, and most of our investigators that are on the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force are part time at best. They have other duties at their law enforcement agencies. It's just kind of a cat and mouse game of trying to keep up with technology, keep up with time to train them on technology, and it's just ever evolving. So we just try to stay on top of it the best that we can. Keep a look at the images and go after the highest priority at the time, and then try to get back to the lower priority when we can get back to that point.
Sergeant Battle, like, so I understand how serious the AI evolution is with this. These it's photos and video that you're talking about.
Yes, photo and video. So right now, the video on most consumer grade websites are pretty short in length. But as the technology is improving and the processing power is improving on computers, those videos will get longer in length. So right now we're seeing anywhere if there's a video, maybe about 10 seconds, 5 to 10 seconds, maybe up to 20 seconds. But we just know that within the next couple of years, or within this next year, that those videos are going to get longer because there'll be dedicated computers to process this information.
How do you identify, and I know you're saying that at the beginning that the computer generated pictures looked a little different, like you could tell they were messed with a little bit. But
Yes.
as this AI has gotten better, you can't really tell if it's been messed with. How are you fighting this? How are you able to like say this is an AI generated picture, or does it even matter? I mean, does it even matter at that point?
No, it really doesn't matter now, based on the law. If we can find somebody that's identifiable, that we know, or that is indistinguishable from a child, it's basically the principle of, if I took this picture or video to a local school district, can I show it? That's pretty much
Mm.
the gauge that we look at. And I think most jurors would look at that point, that this is indistinguishable from a child, even if there's something wrong with their hands or something like that. Uh, they would know what those pictures are used for. But as the technology improves on their side, technology improves on the law enforcement side. So right now, I know that they are working with a working group with law enforcement officers from across the world, across the globe, working on a tool to be able to send some of these items up for us to be able to discern if it's AI generated or an actual item that was taken with a camera or video camera.
When you talk to like people that are working on programs to fight this, and trying to be able to like unmask this kind of behavior and these kind of videos and that sort of thing using AI generated stuff. Do you feel like they're making progress, or is it even sort of keeping up with what's already out there?
Yeah, so they're making progress on it, and there's a lot of companies. You would be surprised, electronic service providers that have pretty big companies that are contributing to this because they don't want the stuff on their platform, and they're in the fight with us uh, to help with their programmers and all the coders to help us be able to find this stuff because they know how harmful it is.
So what are we supposed to do and tell our kids right now?
The best thing that I can tell parents at this point is just to be careful and talk to your kids and tell them to be careful about who they're allowing on their social media if you allow them to have access to them. Parents, of course, be careful who you're allowing access on your social media. A lot of times, whenever we're talking to young adults and kids and even parents, sometimes we ask them, "Hey, who do you have on your social media? Do you If you see somebody that you don't know, and they send you a friend request, do you accept it?" And most of the time, the answer is yes, even if they don't know them. And so we tell them just to be careful about that. There's no difference between the old adage of don't talk to strangers. There's no reason to even talk to them if you don't know them.
And when these predators are sharing images using AI, CSAM, or in general, where are they sharing these images and these videos? You're saying it's not just the dark web anymore?
Yes, so they can send them through a file sharing link like a provider like Dropbox. Mega is a pretty popular one that they utilize. Also, a lot of times they just send it directly over Facebook Messenger, TikTok, over their messaging platform, Instagram. It can be a little bit of anywhere. A lot of times there's websites that are reported into the National Center that are right here in the United States that are taken down that have this material on it.
It's kind of hiding in plain sight.
Yes, it really is. And I think most citizens, would be really concerned if they knew the scope and the scale that this is out there.
Are you getting national figures of how bad this is across the country right now? Are people sharing with you what they're seeing in other states?
So right now, of course, we're part of the national ICAC task force, and I'm able to talk to a lot of the other commanders, and they're seeing the same thing. They're seeing an increase in cyber tips, seeing an increase in generative AI. It's really not anything new to our area or special about our area. But us being rural, it's interesting that we're seeing it as quick as what we are. So it's really scary to think about how fast these items can be, generated and disseminated. And then we tell children, now we talk about AI now, and we tell them, something can go out really quick, and how do you prove that that's not you? I mean, it's hard to do that. So that's why we tell them to be careful and don't friend anybody that they don't know, and just be careful who you talk to.
When they came to you, Sergeant Battle, and said, "This is the next front. Like this is what you're going to be dealing with," what did you think?
I didn't know what to think because I thought that we wouldn't be at this stage until after I retired. And, it's kind of like the saying, the future is now. Well, we're here and we're almost beyond because there's some things that I've seen that are pretty interesting, that the consumer side has not seen yet. And I mean, it's amazing technology that's being processed, but as with anything, problems lie with any kind of tool that's out there. It can be used for good or bad.
So your advice to the parents and the school districts and everyone is basically anybody that's watching kids right now is watch their social media. Don't be giving out. Don't be opening up an open account on your social media accounts. Is that basically the safest thing to do?
Yes, lock down your social media accounts, lock down your photographs. There's no reason for everybody in the world to be able to see your photographs. Your actual friends that you have in person. I would keep it your friends to that because all it takes is just one person that you think is your friend or somebody you want to be friends with. That's someone completely different, and then you have a big problem on your hands. We have been telling kids that here for the last several years, especially with this extortion.
I have faith that y'all are going to catch up with some of these predators and stop them in their tracks. It sounds like you're on it. So I'm glad to hear it. Thank you so much for talking to us about this today. It's terrifying.
Yes, it's very terrifying, and I thank you for just allowing me to talk about it and hopefully get some awareness out there.
Oh, I hope so too. And we'll stay in touch. I mean, let us know as these cases, as we find new ways to fight this as well. And anything that can be done on the consumer level, I think would be really, really valuable that you could give to parents. Because the truth is, I mean, I had kids, like, they don't stop looking at the gram and the Facebook and TikTok and all that stuff. They're out there. We just need to fight fire with fire, if it were.
That's the best adage I can think of.
This case isn't about what's coming, it's already here. The predators are using AI, and the victim could be anyone's child. Drop a comment and tell me, what do you think is the most shocking part of this story? And tomorrow, be sure not to miss Criminally Obsessed, because I have an exclusive update on the baby Emmanuel case. It's a story you do not want to miss.